Hello and welcome to new and returning viewers. If you haven't read Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice, chances are you've seen the movie. The book was published in 1976, and I remember when it came out and very much looking forward to the read. I'd already read Dracula by Bram Stoker and Salem's Lot by Stephen King. So I was looking forward to meeting yet another vampire and finding out what the differences were in these particular characters. The story is dictated by Louis as he is talking to a reporter over the course of a night. He shares how he became a vampire. He talks about his relationship with Louis. He also lets us know how Claudia came into being and Lestat's motivation for creating her. There are a lot of interesting twists and turns throughout the novel. It focuses on relationships, choices, the consequences of those choices, and the ripple effects of what happens when one person drastically changes the course of their life and how that impacts all the other people around them. It was an enjoyable read, and if you're interested in the vampire genre and you haven't picked it up yet, it's definitely a book that I highly recommend. Interview with the Vampire is book one in a series called The Vampire Chronicles. I'll talk more about the entire series in a future video. Today I just wanted to touch on book one and the book that concludes the series, Prince Lestat, The Vampire Chronicles, and of course by Anne Rice. The series concluded in the publication of this book in 2014. If you've read any of the other novels, you know that they all interconnect, and not only do we meet the vampires themselves, we meet a secret organization called the Talamasca. If you've read the Mayfair Witches series, that's 3 novels that are The Witching Hour, Lasher, and Teltos, you've also been introduced to the Talamasca, as the Mayfair Witches do have some crossover with the Vampire Chronicles. In particular, the novel Merrick has to do with the Mayfair Witches as well as the vampires. So it's a very interesting crossover between the two worlds. If you haven't read any of the other Vampire Chronicle novels, but you do enjoy vampire stories, both from the perspective of new vampires and the ancients themselves, then you can read Prince Lestat and you'll meet all the vampires that showed up throughout the Vampire Chronicles. In some of the novels, we of course find out about this entity known as the Voice, and everything comes to a conclusion in Prince Lestat. If you have read or watched Interview with the Vampire, you will know that Lestat was a very immature, self-centered individual in the beginning. There were a lot of reasons for that, and throughout the Vampire Chronicles, we certainly learn more about his backstory and how he came to be the way he was when he created Louis. In Prince Lestat, we meet ancient vampires, younger vampires, and vampires in between. Lestat has changed dramatically throughout the course of the series. He has matured, he has come into his own, he's certainly been helpful and supportive with a number of the other vampires. The nice thing about this particular novel is that we get a bit of a backstory for each of the characters as they come back into the main storyline. So as I say, even if you haven't read any of the other Vampire Chronicle novels, this book is an enjoyable read. There are lots of different vampires to meet, And again, it comes down to the choices that individuals make, whether they're interested in working for themselves or the common good of all. As in this case, the entire vampire population is threatened by this entity known as the Voice. So the vampires need to figure out a way to work together and how they can overcome this threat to their entire society. There are a number of important issues that come up throughout the novel. As I mentioned, the individual vampires have to decide whether they can find a way to work together, who are they going to trust, and can one of them figure out what this voice is and how to ensure that it stops destroying vampires, both young and ancients, and finding a way to move forward as a collective group once everything comes to a head. If you enjoy vampire stories, I definitely recommend Interview with the Vampire as well as Prince Lestat. I've read many of the other novels throughout the series, and I also enjoyed them as they focus on a number of different issues, both involving family and the ripple effect of the choices that the different characters make. Some of the characters choose to be vampires, and some are, like Louis, thrust into the world not by their choice. So I find them very enjoyable, not just from the perspective that they're vampire novels, but looking in terms of consequences of actions, relationships, and how that all plays out, certainly over the course of many years, and for some of the vampires over many centuries. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of Anne Rice's work and what were your thoughts about it. Also, if you found this video to be of interest or enjoyable, please be sure to give that like button a little tickle, leave me a comment or a thumbs up to let me know if you're still here and listening, as all of that helps the channel to get out to more people and also helps our community grow, where we can chat about books as well as chuckle over some of my silly cat videos and the nature videos as well. If you're interested in a variety of different content, then be sure to click the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you know when I upload content that may be of interest to you. Until next time, happy reading!